Good evening. I'll call to order the Monday, January 6th, 2025 meeting of the North Andover Select Board. If everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. First item on our agenda, public comment. Per Select Board policy, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens and the Select Board. It is a citizen's opportunity to express his or her opinion on issues of town business. The board may respond to public comment by taking under consideration when deliberating on an agenda item or referring the item to the administration for appropriate action or response. Public comment shall be for a period of up to 15 minutes, with speakers being allowed 3 minutes to present their material. Is anyone here for public comment this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Item A, we have an update on the wayfinding signage plan. I think Zach Melcher's here.
Made me smile because over the weekend I was talking about when we were going to do this plan, and my daughter was like Moana? And I was like, oh yeah, it's wayfinding. It made me laugh. So now I'm thinking of this as the Moana plan.
It's a good spin on it. Hi everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Zach Melcher. I've been the staff planner here for just over a year now. I'm here to talk about the wayfinding plan that we've been working on. I provided a definition just to give a frame of reference. I'll read that out. It's a coordinated system of elements designed to provide clarity and assistance, helping users orient themselves within a built environment and navigate to their desired destinations. So essentially, it's just a system of signs that help people navigate around town, residents and visitors, to different locations. The final deliverable of this plan will be sort of a blueprint that we could bring forward to a sign manufacturer. It outlines designs of the signs, and as well as the locations and other design specifications that could be used to manufacture the signs. This project is 100% grant funded, so no town funds that are being used for this project.
That's for the planning and the actual sign.
The next, so right now the planning phase is all grant funded. If we were to move forward, we would have to source funds from what from elsewhere. Yeah, right. That's later down the road, but. And like I said, the plan will outline locations, content, and designs for the signs to help guide people. The main reason that we're undertaking this plan is that it was identified in the 2018 master plan. I'll get to that. There's a few strategies that highlight that, and it's really to strengthen the town's identity and sense of place as well. Like I said, there's a couple strategies that coincide with the master plan. The first one kind of talking about outcountry and connecting that with the rest of the community, through means like signage. As well as connecting downtown to the mill area through signs, and there's also potential to increase visibility for trails by adding signs there. The consultant that we're working with is KMA Design. They're based out of Pittsburgh. They've worked on several of these plans across the country. So far, they came to our town back in July, I believe it was over the summer, and they did a full tour. We kind of showed them the lay of the land. They took pictures of all the signs just to kind of get a feel for what we have already and see where the gaps are. As well as that, they've worked with us to formulate a list of key destinations which will be displayed on the signs and kind of point out different areas that we want to highlight, and they also worked on preliminary designs that are subject to change, but I wanted to get some feedback tonight about where we're at with that as well. In terms of outreach, we did a survey kind of to gauge people's feedback on the signs as they are right now. We got 81 responses. It was distributed through the website, social media, and the newsletter. I'll touch on the survey results in a minute, as well as we've convened a stakeholder group with to get more direct feedback from people in key organizations, neighborhood districts, merchant association, and a few town organizations that kind of have a say in signs and public facilities and that sort of thing.
Were you happy with the 81 responses?
I wouldn't say it was at the level of, what we'd usually shoot for in a survey. I honestly, I couldn't really tell you why it was the case that we got a little bit less feedback. Sometimes in the summer, like, people are out on vacation or doing other things. But we always, send it out and then follow up. But, we're still looking for feedback from residents, for whatever means we can.
Summer is very difficult.
It is
A
difficult,
lot of
yeah.
people have summer homes.
Yeah.
Try to go to a restaurant and get any seat in
Yeah.
during the summer. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, September rolls around, it's like back in line.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we were happy that we were able to get, just some level of feedback from residents. I would say the main overarching theme that people identified were that there definitely is a lack of directional signage, which is, what our consultant expressed as well, and that, 58% indicated that they missed a turn due to inadequate signage, and only about 21% would describe the current signage as helpful, or would describe it as helpful, very helpful, or extremely helpful. So there's definitely room to grow in that department in terms of navigation to different destinations. And then I also wanted to touch on, there were a few comments made about how, maybe this project wasn't, the time and money used for this project could be directed towards other initiatives, which I understand that concern because, people probably don't even, they hadn't thought about a wayfinding system and that sort of thing. But like I said earlier, this was identified in our master plan, so it's definitely on our priority list. And also, it is grant funded, so we're not diverting funds that could be used elsewhere. Before I want to get into the designs, I just kind of want to do a run through of the different types of signage just to give you a better idea of how it kind of all fits together. You have gateway signage, which kind of serve as, landmark, sense of arrival, that sort of thing. I put two examples in, one on Main Street and one on Sutton Street. They look very similar, but they haven't really been standardized across the board. I'm guessing they were probably implemented at different points. And they weren't, to the exact specifications, so that could be something that we could standardize or retrofit, or implement new ones in different areas, kind of to create a sense of arrival and strengthen the sense of place in town. Then you have directional signage, which is kind of the main vehicle to guide people to these different locations. We don't really have any signs like the example I've included on the right where it points out a few different locations. The ones that we do have are specific to one location, like the airport. This would be something that we're trying to prioritize in this plan to help highlight different locations and guide people to maybe some areas that haven't really been landmarked. And then you have destination identification signage. So these are at the locations themselves. I included an example from the school administration building and the water treatment plant. Similar to the gateway signage, they're really not standardized. They have different fonts. They kind of have a similar theme, but they're not really all the same. If this is something that we wanted to prioritize with this plan, we would really be focused on, town facilities and wouldn't be, private businesses and that sort of thing, but just, areas for improvement that the consultant helped us identify as well. And then you have informational signage, on the right, that's from the Machine Shop Village on High Street. It has a map there, as well as some historical information. This could be an opportunity to highlight some areas with heavy foot traffic, provide like historical context or, walking paths, trails, that sort of thing. And then district identification signage, we have examples of this, like in the Watershed District and the Machine Shop Village, that highlight once you're in a district themselves, and this could be an area of expansion to other districts that aren't really, identified.
I must drive by that sign on the left every
Yeah.
single day, and I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's very, well, exactly, like, there's definitely an opportunity to make it more visible, as well as other districts that don't have any signs at all. But it's very bare bones as it is, I would say. As mentioned earlier, we worked with a consultant to develop a destination list, which are just locations that would go on the signs and, basically pointing out the different locations that we'd point people towards. They're broken down by a tier system, with primary being major destinations. They'd be farther away. They would appear on more of the signs and be farther away. Secondary would appear on the signs within 5 miles of the location, and then tertiary would be within a mile of the location. So it's really more about, proximity to the location, as well as like primary, we're obviously looking at more prominent landmarks throughout town, and then as you get further down, like you get closer to the destination. This was the list that we came up with. It's definitely not fully comprehensive, but we wanted to just get a start on things. The primary destinations were major landmarks like the downtown area, high school, the mill area, Merrimack College, the old center. That would we would direct people towards visitors, residents, and then the secondary also high priority. Similar thing, just more specific in this case, like other town facilities, areas of importance in town.
The original settlement was Barker's Farm, and as I was reading through, there was one mention of it, but that was the original settlement in 1642.
I
And
believe
the
we
Barker
had
family still owns it, and we've heard that they are the longest running farm in the same family throughout the country. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what's been told. Yeah,
I believe we included it at one point, or it was in the tertiary list, but we've kind of toyed with this a lot, and it's definitely still, in the works. But we don't have the location plan yet of exactly where these signs will go. So like once we have a better idea of that, we might tinker with like the tier system and maybe include different destinations that we didn't have on the list before.
But having said that, Smolak Farm is really a fun place for families to go to, especially in the fall. But it would be nice for the original settlement from the Barker family to be at least a sign put out for something like that.
Yeah, that could definitely be included as part of the plan.
I'm guessing Smolak probably is on there because of the traffic it draws.
Yeah.
It's
From the
the-
community,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And people come from everywhere, and they will get lost.
Now
Yeah.
the directions are, go to the blinking yellow light, except sometimes it's.
And then moving on to the tertiary list, I know this is very extensive. Really, we just wanted to include like most of the recreational areas and the parks and other town facilities. But like I said, it's not a comprehensive list. Still can be subject to change, but if you want to, take a look and if anything sticks out to you, be happy to take feedback.
Well, there's a wall right here where very famous people lived. You could just look up where they lived, and it could be the home of whomever. George Washington's surgeon is one of them. There's a whole list over there of first Postmaster General, first governor from North Andover. So, yeah, it's a good place to start. First poet, and it's a woman, published poet. So.
Well, along the lines of Rosemary's question, did the Historic Society weigh in on some of these? Did anyone offer?
Their building is on here.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had much correspondence with them with
Okay.
this project.
Okay.
It's almost like a separate,
You have a question?
I just wasn't sure if they helped drive, some
Like,
of the.
when I was part of the fence committee, which is like a county, group, we talked a lot about how we want all of the different communities to put signs up to specific things, so that we can all enjoy each other's. But, and we talked a lot more about historical,
Yeah.
Got it.
historical buildings and stuff, but.
Question?
Yeah.
Zach, can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, I'll just throw in one comment. Zach's doing a lot of planning recently, so not only, in addition to this, we're actually also doing an historic preservation master plan. So a lot of those historical sites and places of significance with respect to, historic preservation and wanting to teach people about, the different people have been here over the years and maybe even settled North Andover, we're looking at trying to build a more comprehensive interpretation system. So like building out signage that would kind of cover the history of North Andover in certain areas of town or certain neighborhoods or certain historic sites. So that's a little different from wayfinding in that, it's more like when you'd come upon it and you could see it. More of these sites are, hey, we want to get you there, or we want you to know they're there. So I just wanted to make that distinction. So there has been, Zach's been doing a great job in terms of engaging with the historic preservation community here in North Andover for that project in particular. And I believe they did have a little bit of a role in that initial process, right?
Yeah,
of outreach?
yeah.
But a lot of these sites are, you know, parents trying to get kids to
Yes.
sporting events at certain fields, or, you know, certain events going on at different things, so making sure all these areas are covered as well. Sort of the point.
Thank you for the clarification.
And the historical society is working on like having like a program where you have, you know, where like historic buildings, you know, historically significant, people would have like signage on the buildings, but again, different, in addition to this scope of the wayfinding project.
And now I'll get into the designs. You can take a look at them. This first one, you know, it kind of matches some of the existing signage we have with the red color scheme and the gold trim. And I also want to point out that they included street signs as part of their design package, but that's not really something we're looking to retrofit. It would, you know, take a lot of work and a lot of time and effort, but.
Oh, is that the one, that's the one kind of second from the right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. But otherwise, I know like the font is really small, and a couple of them it couldn't get any bigger. But you can see like the directional signs on the left, you know, that's pointing out, you know, that would point out a few locations, and as you get closer, like it would have more specific areas. And then the destination ones, kind of similar to the gateway signage, where they're more landmark, like once you arrive there, you'll see the sign, you'll know you're there. And then as well as like, it's really hard to read, but there's you know, Cochicowick watershed sign that, you know, like you commented earlier about how like the watershed signs are tiny and kind of really hard to see. So this could improve visibility for that district and others as well. But any initial comments? Anything stick out?
I was wondering though, like for what could possibly be historic signs or how to get there, as you said, through, if they could have kind of the same color scheme and theme so that they know, oh, this is a historic location, this is a ball field, you know, for neighboring communities come to play sports with our teams. And the neighborhood signs, maybe they're older than I think, but it just seems like Bruce Thibodeau did those and not that long ago, but I could be wrong.
I think some of them are like the Machine Shop Village one is fairly new. Some of them are fairly new. Some of them don't have one at all. So
But it would be maybe a thought to take to the committee is that for certain signs have maybe certain themes so that we know, oh, this is historic, this is a historic sign, this is, which actually looks nice in that neighborhood. It could also be to period. But I do like, you know, the fire department signs, the school signs, those are municipal buildings, and that could be kind of the same look as well, but you got a lot of decisions to make.
It's finding your help.
I think it's fantastic. I have 2 points. I get stopped a lot and asked for directions. I'm not wandering. And
You're walking.
yes, it is true. That's why. And most commonly, I'm somewhere near the common and being asked how to get to where the restaurants are. So just keep that in mind as your
it's good to know.
Restaurant
like,
alley.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good feedback. Yeah.
Which is High Street, right? That's pretty much it. And the only other thing I would say is recently, within the last year or two, the high school put up some signs when you go up the driveway.
Yeah.
And even when I'm like creeping by, I cannot read them because they're so small. So
Yeah.
that's the only
Yeah.
other watch out.
On Osgood Street?
No, like in the drive, like as
the
you're,
on
literally
property.
it's like front office
Well, that's a
this
sign
way.
that gets stolen all the time from the kids.
Well, I don't think it's been stolen.
No, it's
pretty-
got a funny name on it or something, and
No, they put a new one, a
it
new
goes missing.
type of sign, and
Yeah.
so that would be the only other consideration. It's like when you're driving and trying to,
Yeah.
You
but
know,
I think it's fantastic.
I'd just comment, regardless of what the final design is, I think that consistency is really, really important. I think it's a great way of binding the community together, reminding you kind of where you're at. I do like Rosemary's idea of saying, okay, this is, you have somewhat of a different bent on it for historic or recreation or
or,
municipal.
Hiking.
You know, probably not, probably don't go too granular
Yeah,
with it, right? 'Cause you
yeah.
want to maintain some consistency. But, imagining these up around town, it really does give, I think, a good sense of place and sense of community. So I'm very excited about what I'm seeing so far.
Glad to hear it. And the next design is, fairly similar. Same red color scheme, but the signs are a little more squared off instead of rounded. But, we wanted to kind of match some of the existing signage, not try to get too crazy, but still, try to strengthen the sense of place, sense of identity throughout the town. But is there like a preference, would anyone say, between the first design and this one? Or kind of similar feelings that?
I like the first one better.
Yeah.
Too. And it could be just because we're used to it
I
too,
know,
right? 'Cause
it
it's so
looks
close
really
to what we
similar.
said, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I
they're very
like
similar.
it, and yeah.
It's what we just installed pretty much at the buildings we're doing.
I
So like
think
the
it
senior
looks
center
nice.
one, looks like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
CPC sign.
CPC.
Yeah, the
Right.
CPC signs.
So I would
do
say that
like
the.
I like the colors on, those are our colors, were red and black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like maroon more than
Yeah. The accents
Bright
on the
red.
first one are nice.
I like the.
Yeah.
If there's a handful of signs that we maybe don't have to replace because they already fall into consistency, I think that is important,
And the last one, same as the one before, but just black instead of red.
That's not, if the whole town has black signs, it might start to look a little dreary.
Good take.
Yeah, I would agree. I think maybe we're just all conditioned to it and used to what we
Yeah.
like, but I think the first one probably.
Yeah. So yeah, those are they give us a few more, but those are the three that really we felt were the best three to go through. Still, like, we're in the early phases of designs and everything, so there's more work to be done. But I just wanted to get initial feedback on if we're going in the right direction or not, or if we need to completely change everything.
One thing I do like, Zach, on the vehicular wayfinding, the North Andover kind of written vertical on the back. I didn't see it on the first design, but I saw it on the
Yeah, I
following
don't know
too.
if it was on the back. That one, it's really faint. It's
Yeah,
hard to
the
tell.
one before was.
Yeah, the first one has like just a different design on the back. It doesn't
Yeah,
have
okay.
the North Andover
Yeah.
right now.
I kind of don't mind it, right?
Yeah.
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 And I do think it's important that I think the words North Andover appear on every sign.
I agree, because they think we're Andover. And the state took years to get come on this exit to get to North Andover. They sent people to Middleton, and what was the other place that they said? They were like, the exit is in North Andover, but they're sending them all the way to Middleton from
From
the highway,
Oh,
from
really?
495. And that was like, who thought that one up?
I think it's great.
But yeah.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
we're
your
there.
work.
Yeah. Well, I have just one more thing to touch on. In terms of next steps, like I said, we'll, go back to the consultant and relay your feedback to them, as well as, like I mentioned, we still need a location plan, which exactly outlines like where the signs would go, so kind of give us a better idea of, if we need to add any destinations or if we need to tinker with the existing list. And then as part of the final product, we'll get cost estimates for the next phase, which would be, bringing this plan to a sign fabricator and seeing, what that sort of thing would cost. But like I said, that funding would have to come from, a different source. It's not part of this project.
The one final comment that I have, and this board has heard me say this, we don't need boatloads of signs. It starts to become like, you feel like you're Times Square without the lights. We don't, we're an old community. We're very old, 1642, as I mentioned to you. But we don't want to start looking like it's a city. We like the old town feel, and people who live here generally like that. They like modern conveniences, but they like the old town feel. So I don't want to go too crazy either.
But
It's over messaging.
But we're lacking signage right now. I think when you go to other communities, I noticed that they have directional signs and,
As sports participants in other communities.
right, like how to get,
That's always, where do you find whichever field?
How do you get
What
to
is
the
the name of the
field?
field?
so, obviously balance, right?
Well, we certainly want people to be able to get there with ease, but at the same point, we don't want them every 100 feet,
course
get a
not.
new
No, of
sign.
course
No, of course
Oh, turn left, up, turn right.
Yeah, and I think beyond just the actual wayfinding, the functional part of it, I think it expresses pride in our community and the locations that we have in the community, by us calling them out and saying these are places that are worthy of drawing people's curiosity if they're having to be strolling through town for whatever reason. So I think that's important. I did have a question on the survey, on some of the results. I think this was the survey that asked kind of questions about people's feeling about the community. Do we feel urban, suburban, historic, whatever?
All of the above.
Was that in this survey? I
Yeah,
remember that
yeah,
correctly?
there were some questions about that.
How did those results inform either the design or the location selections?
I would say, with the designs, I pointed out that a lot of it kind of matches the current designs we have, because, like Rosemary said, we were really not trying to go overboard with flashing lights or all these crazy colors and things like that. So I think, it gave us a good sense of that people don't want to go too crazy with the signs, but it would be nice to have some more branding, more identity throughout the town.
Yeah, I love the idea of seeing also more historic, on this place, this happened. I think I'd seen at one point.
I know just about everybody at this table loves the historic stuff, especially you and me.
I think I had seen an example at one point, I may have sent it to Andrew at one point, of a visible screen that kind of shows an old picture of what it had been 200 years before, and you can stand there and kind of see some kind of neat stuff that maybe is not quite a part of this project as much, but on the tertiary of it. But I think this is terrific.
On the education portion of it, though, for example, this very building was the fire station and town hall, so that maybe something that kind of shows that. I think people find that interesting. Look at the horses, carrying the fire engine.
All right, so do you need more feedback from us, or?
No, I think that was great. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Thanks, Zach.
Great work, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is Master Plan Implementation Committee update. Chair Strauss was hoping to be here this evening, but unfortunately he's unable to make it, so he asked that I relay a few things from the committee on the committee's behalf, and I may call Andrew in from the bullpen if you want to come up and get over all the stuff that I'm going to miss, since I've barely been on the committee. So this is a biannual report to the Select Board that the MPIC submits. I think, as everyone may have seen in their packet, the chair notes that the most impactful project that we've seen since the last report was the town meeting passage of the MBTA communities, which I believe impacted 8 different strategies related to positively impacted 8 different strategies as a part of the master plan. I think the website in particular is a really great example of ways we can kind of keep everyone informed. Andrew's done tremendous work on that. If any resident has a question as to where, what the plans are, they're broken down very neatly in, I think, 5 or 6 different categories, and they follow along. You can see what updates, what progress has been made in all of them, and I think we've made progress, Andrew, on a good chunk of them, if I'm not mistaken, certainly more than half. So. The other thing just to note in Chair Strauss's letter, the ADU bylaw strategy is actually being addressed at the state level, but that is consistent with our master plan goals. A lot of the funding came from CPA, and the CPC at last town meeting addressed a number of different items with regards to the master plan. And lastly, our the select board goal that we adopted at the end of the fall regarding potential riverfront overlay district. The committee expresses their support of that initiative, and that it addresses potentially four, maybe more strategies with the master plan positively. So that's the overall, I think, report. Andrew, is there anything I missed? Anything you'd like to address? Okay, appreciate it. It's a very thorough letter from the chair, so John does a great job. So happy to take any questions to the extent that I can answer them, if anyone has anything as to where master plan stands.
It was a good summary, because there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot. It's a great committee. I will say that, having only served on it now for a handful of months, I think it's a terrific committee. It's really touching so many different aspects of what we're trying to achieve as a community across the board. So I'm happy to serve on it. All right, next item, item C, vote to adopt the fiscal 26 to fiscal 30 capital improvement plan.
Thank you. So as you know, we submitted this capital improvement plan to you at the tri-board meeting. That feels like it was a very long time ago, but really wasn't. It's okay. We are asking to just make one change. We would like to increase the plan by $60,000, and that $60,000 increase would be for the high school fields, and the funding source would be the capital stabilization account, so it does not impact our free cash or anything like that. But other than that, there is no other changes to the plan.
Is it for additional work, or is it just that they underestimated?
No, it's because we are working through our conservation issues, and in good faith, we believe that if we do an additional $6,000, we'll be able to get appropriate as-built at the end of this project that encompasses the entire site. And so we are working with the conservation on that right now.
Well put.
But if you're gonna agree to do something, it's good to have a funding source. So much easier.
That'll allow us to keep that project
Yeah,
moving.
moving along.
So,
And when do you anticipate the end, like, what's the goal for that, like, to,
For the end of that.
for the end of that project?
When would it open, you mean?
Yeah.
Do we have a date for opening? We would like to pull permits as soon as,
It's all dependent on the sign off for the permits.
yeah, and we
We'd
would
like
like to
to-
file in the next month or two.
Yeah, so the plan was to file, go to bid. Actually, we were hoping to go to bid in February, but I don't think that's gonna happen, so we'll go to bid early spring, and start right as soon as July 1st. Once it's out, it's available.
We have a
And the
tight
whole-
time frame.
Right.
And the holdup is the Concom as-built request?
So, yes, this is taking, we're working through that process right now, and hoping in a solution-based way, it feels that way, so we're working on that. We know we're really tight on time because we want to make sure the project is not, prohibitive to anyone playing on those fields during the highlighting times, so, we're working on that, making sure it gets done correctly, so.
Because obviously fall is a really high use, like starting in the middle of August
Yeah.
is high use.
I mean, the good thing about a capital stabilization transfer is that we could word it so that it's available immediately
Immediate.
instead of waiting until July 1st, you know what I mean? So if we
The
can get
other-
things lined up, we maybe could start earlier, but they still have strict
But
spring
the
ball.
other,
Yeah, I mean, they haven't played spring ball until
Right.
Yeah.
June.
It's in use every
I think the high
season.
school's asked for it not to begin
Till July.
before,
It's like-
basically,
it's
a
like
week
June
after
and July and the middle
school
of
ends,
August is the only
because they have
time.
baseball, I
Right,
don't know.
uses it until,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no perfect time,
No
unfortunately.
perfect time.
No, but if we don't start till later, it
That's
probably
the earlier
will
the
bump it a whole
A whole year.
because you're not gonna have time to get it done for the spring.
We don't want to do that
Which is the
because
goal.
We do not
No.
want to
it
do
keeps
that.
getting more expensive,
Yeah.
so
well, I
Exactly.
appreciate you working collaboratively
doing our
with,
best, absolutely, they've been great.
to find a solution.
Getting to yes, so. Any other questions on the capital improvement plan that we discussed 3 weeks ago, I guess? Yeah.
Sometime last year. Free cash was certified at $9.7 million, which is what we thought, so that works out perfectly for the plan.
Call it 10.
Call it 10, round up.
Round up, I like it.
Melissa, we didn't discuss this as a tri-board, maybe, could you do me a favor and give a quick overview of the water and sewer rate proposals?
Sure,
Yeah.
so in the enterprise fund requests, we do have two requests, one in water, one in sewer, to do a water rate study and a sewer rate study. Those will be paid through retained earnings, which is basically the free cash of the water and sewer enterprise funds. Most of the other items that we are doing in water sewer are going to be debt this time because they are larger items. Basically, we've had this thing we brag about that we haven't changed our water or sewer rates in 12 years, which is amazing, but eventually it will catch up with us. And so the best thing we think to do is to do a full analysis of kind of what we think the expectation will be for as long as the next decade, so that we can start to kind of think about if we are gonna have to see increases, because one, we need to put in all new automated meters, right? So there'll be an expense that goes along with that, or the sewer, GLSD keeps going up, and they have additional things they want to do at their site. And so knowing all of that, we're able to look at it and say, all right, if we do think we're going to need to see increases in the future to our rates, what will they look like, and how is it we do that in the least painful way? So saying to Brian earlier that I did one of these studies in Everett, like in 2009, and it was about 25,000 at that point. So we do have quotes for this, and it does seem like a lot of money, but the hope is that we'll have a good long-term plan for where our rates will go into the future.
And when GLSD raises their rates, that gets passed through, or do we have to absorb that?
That gets passed to our sewer budget.
Okay.
Right, and so we try to basically extrapolate or guess what that's going to be, but it's kind of like everything else, we don't get it till well after our budget is done. But if they make a determination that they want to do repairs or improvements, then that's all going to get into the rate.
Okay.
So we just want to try to be aware of everything that might be coming down the pike.
But do you think, if we have other capital plans going on that's not water and sewer, that it could be timed in such a way that we're not all of a sudden hitting our citizens with bills on building things and bills on water and sewer, and they're really starting to feel a little bit besieged?
That's why we're going to use, that's why we're going to use debt paid by retained earnings to do all of these projects we're doing right now, because it won't be an impact. It's basically using the free cash. But by kind of looking at this in a long-term way, we can think about that and say, if we know that the GLSD is going to go up by an extra 10% in fiscal year 29, how do we start planning for that now? What does the rate have to look like for us to be able to get there without it being prohibitive? Because nobody likes to increase rates by 20%, right? You'd rather always just increase by the 2.5% each year because it's small, rather than see a huge increase in the end.
But especially if you're getting it from other
Absolutely.
projects too, that people will be just,
Yes,
they won't be happy.
agree. Yeah, so we'll have to, that will be part of looking at how we do this in the least kind of
That sounds good.
painful way possible.
Yeah. Like a puzzle.
Like a puzzle. It's all a puzzle.
Puzzle. Yeah, I don't like puzzles either.
All right, any other questions? With that, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board adopt fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 30 capital improvement plan as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, item D, I request from the police department to surplus a 2018 Ford Interceptor.
Yeah, it has over 95,000 miles. It's over 7 years old. So what we do is we put it up for auction on a public municipal auction forum. People buy them. They come in, they buy them all the time. And then we take the proceeds and put them into a revolving account that we created probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and we use it towards the purchase of new vehicles.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward. We've done this a bunch, I believe. Any further questions for the town manager? Who wants to make the motion and read that VIN number off?
I'll move that the select board declare a surplus the police department's 2018 Ford Interceptor PPV VIN number 1FM5K8AT9JG838130.
You practiced this before.
Totally.
You're off the hook the rest of the meeting.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jess. All right, item E, vote to set town clerk fees for 2025.
So if you remember correctly, back at 2023 town meeting, we changed our bylaw to say that the select board would set these fees annually. At that time, we actually had contrary language within the bylaws, so we had, basically it said they were set, but then it also listed out what they were. So we cleaned that up. It was kind of messy, but now it's nice and clean. So this is our first year doing this, and because it had to pass through the Attorney General's office, and now the timing works out that this is our first meeting in January, and we're not recommending any changes at this time.
Okay. Seems straightforward. Any questions? I'll take a motion.
Move that the select board approve the town clerk fees for 2025 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item F, 4-wheel unit resale, 1 Harvest Drive, unit number 110.
This is the usual. We have a right of first refusal on all of these units that have an affordable housing restriction, or we have the right to try to locate a buyer. historically, we have always asked CHAPA to do that for us because they are the best skilled at that, and we're making that recommendation again, that we not exercise the right of first refusal.
Have we ever exercised it?
And
Not for the.
as long as I've been doing this, I've never seen a community exercise it. It would require us to maintain our own lists of eligible buyers. So unless you have somebody, right, then you wouldn't do that.
Gotcha.
So CHAPA does a great job.
Yeah, we've
And they have the
asked
lists all ready, like they,
But,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
continually not doing this doesn't waive our right to, right, okay.
No, so what we've asked them to do is, if for some reason they don't find an affordable buyer, to notify us, because that can happen, but it has to be like 108, they have to try for like 180 days or some number. Just so the Affordable Housing Trust could have an opportunity to maybe buy it and then
Yeah.
sell it affordable, so it stays in the affordable inventory.
Got it. Okay. I'll take a motion.
Move that the select board waive the right of first refusal for the affordable unit resale of 1 Harvest Drive, Unit 110.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item G, to appoint Matt Bohannock to the Conservation Commission. Janice or Dave?
So Matt came to us, having applied for multiple committees, of which there was not exactly an open position. So he happened to have really good timing where another position opened up, and he is a lawyer who's ready to serve and has volunteered his time and has had his own dealings with the Conservation Commission and understands what it's all about and is ready to go. So I would move that the select board appoint Matt Bohannock to the Conservation Commission for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. One thing I would like to note is that the recent resignation of Lou Napoli, former chair of the Conservation Commission, who served for maybe 30 years at least. So I just wanted to express the board's thanks for his service to the community in doing so.
Definitely.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have no consent items this evening, I believe. On to approval of minutes. We have our tri-board minutes and then our quick meeting minutes from the 30th. Has everyone had a chance to review them? If so, I'll take a motion.
Move that the select board approve the open session minutes of December 16th, 2024 as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Select board updates.
I'll also move that the select board approve the open session
Oh,
minutes of
sorry, I thought you did both.
of
Sorry.
December 30th, 2024 as presented.
I apologize.
No problem.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I tell when the chair's not paying attention, sorry. Select board updates.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's right.
May it be a wonderful new year for all of us, including the whole town.
Including the whole town.
That's right.
That's right. They had a good opportunity to attend the menorah lighting on New Year's Day. Dave got a chance to light one of the candles.
It was an honor.
You didn't tell me that when I asked you how you know.
It's a little nerve-wracking, a little bit.
I was worried I was going to fall. Yeah.
That ladder is pretty high.
It was it was quite muddy too. So.
Yeah, muddy up a ladder holding fire, yeah. It was good.
What could go wrong?
So, okay. Town manager's report.
I too wanted to thank my friend Jim Person, Lou Napoli, for his service. We will miss seeing him at Town Hall and hope he'll still come to visit us. We wanted to congratulate the new Finance Committee member who was sworn in earlier today, Jean Irwin. We wanted to remind people that Christmas tree pickup starts today and ends the 17th, and to make sure you have your tree curbside for trash day. We start our internal budget hearings this week, so it will be busy and we'll be working on getting those all done. We have 2 new trades people who have come on board. One is the electrician, Richard Smith, and the other is our HVAC technician, Jay Stoudy. And this is an exciting step for us. As you know, we've been outsourcing this for a really long time, so we're looking forward to seeing how this works out. And then finally, we attached a quarterly report from about our electrical aggregation. So National Grid has just set their rates for February through July, and their rate is going to be 0.1467. Our rate under the aggregation is 0.1554, so slightly more. It's about under a penny. It amounts to about $5 a month for the average user. So in the past, if it was a huge difference, we would send something out urging people to go off and then go back on. I'm not sure in this instance that that's worth it. If you go to the next page of that, it does show you kind of what our savings have been annually, quarterly. So in quarter 2 of '24, total savings for basic service residents in North Andover saved $366,000 by being in the aggregational program. In quarter 1 of '24, everything though to me is in a fiscal year. So 2024 is the calendar year, everyone, not a fiscal year. It's only me. Residents saved $429,000 by being on our aggregation rate. So it's definitely a place you want to be, and we hope that people will continue to take advantage of that plan. And we'll post this to the minutes so people at home are interested. They can see it as well. And I believe that's everything.
Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, our next meeting dates are, so we are no longer meeting on the 21st.
So I was wrong, and I cannot do the 21st. I'm kind of a mess. I apologize. I could do the 22nd, which I think do we already have a meeting on the books that day for, what day was the meeting we have with the Housing Authority?
23rd.
23rd.
But that's in like
And that was the night you all
late
have.
afternoon, and then
Right.
the NAMs,
But that housing authority's at 5.
5, yeah.
I could do the 22nd.
I can't do it 22nd.
Okay.
Sorry.
Are we looking to add in another meeting that week? or what? So you can't do
No,
the
we're looking to
27th?
replace the 27th.
7th, okay.
If there's any way to replace the 27th. But I'd rather not go further out,
No,
since we're already 3
definitely.
weeks away at this point.
If we want to go the 28th, I could call in virtually.
I'm okay with that, if the rest of the board's okay with that. I'm not sure what the agenda looks like, but we're gonna be getting into budget stuff, I'm sure, at some
Yeah.
point, so, okay. So,
I can definitely do that.
But
Okay,
Lori
should we
can
do
sit
the week
through it as well,
before,
to help you out.
like
Yeah.
Yep.
20th?
And
What's
bring
that?
in D.
The
like,
20th
if
is
you needed
Martin
some
Luther King.
paper that you didn't have.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
something.
we probably can't beat
The
that night.
Tuesday, okay.
We can't do the 21st?
Melissa
can't
cannot
do
do
it.
the 21st, yeah, that was our original hope.
I made a
Oh, I'm
mistake.
sorry.
No,
I
it's
was looking at
okay.
the wrong color. I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had the 21st.
Yeah, and then I was wrong.
That's okay.
It happens once a year, right?
I owned it immediately. I was like, I was wrong.
28th, so
28th is fine.
20th is fine, 20th is fine with me.
Yeah, if you think. you're-
I'll just hop on virtually, and I'm not worried. It'll be fine.
You okay?
Yep,
You're sure?
absolutely.
Okay,
the 28th.
the 28th at Chelsea?
And that's gonna be here.
Yes, we'll be here in person, yep. Yes, we are, our next meeting is the joint meeting with the Housing Authority for one particular agenda item. And then our meeting will be Tuesday, January 28th here. Larry, the room's open, I'm guessing?
Yep.
Yep, great. Okay. We all good?
Okay.
With that, I'll take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.